welcome you all to Manicaland province, and in particular here at Kopa. The situation in the province is relatively calm, and therefore I request you, all of you, to feel at home. As we gather for this important event, allow me to rewind you back to the 15th of March when the province was hit by Cyclone Idai. The calamity was beyond imagination as it caused the loss of lives and destruction of property, both movable and immovable. Chimanimani district, where we are, was the hardest hit. And as we speak, 185 people have been confirmed dead, with the 343 still missing. Following this disaster, my brigade, 3 Infantry Brigade, was deployed for the disaster relief operations in the affected areas. The initial phase of the operation was to search and rescue, which is sought to restore hope, and through rescuing of survivors, the injured, the sick, the homeless, as well as the dead being also recovered and receiving decent burial. My troops were deployed in the area of Skyline, Ngangu, Machongwe, and Vimba. Vimba is here, Skyline, that's Skyline, and we have Ngangu across Nyahode River. Initial deployments, due to the state of the disaster, was on foot, as most of the bridges had been washed away, and the troops had to close the flooded rivers, especially the Nyahode River. Troops had to close the flooded river up to Ngangu.
On 16 March 2019, Chimanimani received an average of 600 millimeters of rainfall, accompanied with strong winds. This resulted in huge trees being uprooted and huge boulders of rocks falling from the mountains, causing immense pressure on the bridges which had been constructed here, with some having their approaches washed away and some being completely washed away. On 10 June, I was informed that the South African government had pledged to donate 2 Bailey bridges, and this came as a major relief because we had only constructed temporary crossing points on the bridges here at Kopa.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Njoko, the Operation Mission Commander. I'm going to brief you shortly about this operation that took place and how it took place. My introduction. In the wake of natural disaster, the government of Zimbabwe declared a state of disaster in the affected areas and requested support from the government of the Republic of South Africa in the form of 2 Bailey bridges. The type of mission is a non-United Nations disaster relief operation. Mission, Composite Engineer Squadron, minus, in partnership with the engineers of Zimbabwe Defense Force, must build 2 Bailey bridges as from the 23rd of July until the 29th of November in Zimbabwe, Kopa, in order to mitigate the disaster caused by Tropical Cyclone Idai, and thereafter return back to RSA.
gives me great honor and pleasure to participate in this auspicious and memorable event where we are witnessing the official handover of the 2 Bailey bridges, which were constructed in a joint operation between the South African Defence Forces and the Zimbabwe Defence Forces. This is the first bilateral venture of this kind in Zimbabwe, following the pledge for assistance by our South African neighbors who donated the facilities and contributed immensely towards their successful construction. The construction of the bridges came as a great relief to the surrounding communities as they are now able to access goods and services from across either side of the river.
What also pleased me a lot was that the work that they were doing was a collaboration with the Zimbabwean Defence Forces, which for me was very, very important in deepening the collaboration and solidarity between the two countries. For indeed, today it is Zimbabwe that has been afflicted by these problems. Tomorrow it might be South Africa. Today we are officially handing over, marking the finishing phase of this project that has cost South Africa over 59 million rands. I would like to congratulate all of the South African team that has come here and with dedication helped for us to reach this point, and within, I underline, the stipulated time. I would like to congratulate Brigadier General Ngobo, under whom resided the supervision of this project. I would like to say that, Honorable Vice President, this project is a manifestation that we are one people. We are one people, and that the borders are artificial and were imposed on us, were imposed on our ancestors. I'd like to say that this project shows practically that the tragic events that we've had in South Africa of the so-called xenophobic attacks against foreign nationals, especially African nationals, is indeed a foreign element in South Africa. And as we fight it, as we endeavor to stamp it out, we will continue doing practical work, having practical cooperation with our neighbors, especially our important neighbors such as Zimbabwe.
Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, our retired General Dr. Chiwenga. To the Minister of Defense and War Veterans Affairs, thank you, Mr. Zdoga, for availing yourself for the signing ceremony.
Making a speech, we felt that as the defense forces, we should give a token of appreciation to our colleagues from the South African National Defense Force. So we prepared a small certificate to just express our appreciation for what they've done. If you allow me, I will read the words on the certificate before I present to our colleagues from South Africa. I will read. Certificate of Appreciation. This certificate is presented to the South African National Defence Force by the Zimbabwe Defence Forces in appreciation of their donation of 2 Bailey bridges and the construction of same over rivers Nyawonde and Risutu at Kopa, Chimanimani district of Manicaland province, Zimbabwe. This was after the original bridges had been swept away by the Cyclone Idai floods in March 2019. This gesture of brotherliness is most appreciated and will be remembered by generations to come. These are the words on this certificate. Thank you very much.
The commissioning of the 2 Bail bridges marks the official handover of the vital infrastructure constructed in a joint operation between the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, ZDF, and the South African Defense Forces, SANDF. Hence today, we witnessed the fruition of that special promise by a sister neighbor who quickly heeded the call to rescue us during the time of need. Cyclone Idai rescue operations demonstrated beyond doubt that the Joint Defense Forces are indeed the leading organizations in dealing with the humanitarian emergencies of this magnitude. To this end, ladies and gentlemen, let us join our hands together to give a round of applause to the Joint Defense Forces and Security Arms for a job well done. It has become apparent that as government, there is a need to send our officers to friendly countries like South Africa to look at their disaster management systems in order to build sustainable training capacity centered around the National Defense Unit. As SADC member states, it is incumbent upon us to initiate joint training in disaster management such as rescue, relief, search, and recovery operations. Whilst we are dealing with the residual effects of Cyclone Idai, the bigger picture is now on feeding the food insecure people in the 9 cyclone-affected districts, whose situation has been aggravated by the current drought disaster. We are therefore grateful for a pledge of 75 million rands made by the government of South Africa and the Motsepe Foundation, which they intend to bring grain in lieu of cash. This gesture demonstrates pure love by our friends of the Republic of South Africa. Now that we are in the recovery mode, the build back better of infrastructure, such as infrastructure should involve the full participation of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces and the private sector. For the South African Defense Forces, you have amply demonstrated your capacity, and I'm sure if similar effects of climate change affect your country, you will excel in your response. Let's continue to have joint plans in preparation for any natural calamities that might befall our countries and the region as a whole. As I conclude, I humbly request that we all give another resounding applause to the South African brothers and sisters for this valuable contribution towards improving the well-being of our people.